In our first article on Fantasy Pros, we explained why NFL office pools offer fantastic profit opportunities and reviewed 3 of the fundamental factors that drive optimal office pool strategy. Today we're going to focus on a key strategy for winning NFL pick'em and confidence pools, which we define as pretty much any contest in which you need to predict some or all of the winners or point spread winners of NFL games each week. Specifically, we're going to use an example from NFL Week 1 to show you how a sharp player would drastically alter their pick decisions depending on the size of their pool and the expected picks of their opponents. Team Rankings has provided data-driven picks, tools, and analysis for football pools and NCAA bracket pools since 2000. You can check out their products for NFL Office Pool Picks and NFL Survivor Pool Picks, the not-so-smart way to play NFL Pick'ems. A lot of people think that winning an NFL Pick'em contest is mostly a question of figuring out the most likely teams to win. Once you've done that, throw in a few upsets and hope you get lucky. That's not the right strategy to dominate Pick'em pools. First, these days it's easy to get high-quality game predictions that are either market-driven, e.g. Vegas odds, are data-driven, e.g. algorithmic predictions from our site, a 5 or 38, etc. Good luck out predicting those sources in the long run using your hunches about matchups. Second, all upset picks are not created equal. In fact, most pick'em players have no idea what the risk-reward profile of each possible upset pick look like, and how their opponent's picks influence that calculus. For example, if you make a longshot pick that ends up being a relatively trendy pick in your pool, then wow, the joke is really on you. In a case like that, your expected profit from the pool could take a significant hit. How the pros play NFL football pools. We could write a book on NFL pool strategy, and we hope to actually do that someday. Given the constraints of one article, though, let's focus on one key area of pick and pool strategy that many players don't understand: game theory. In short, dominant NFL pick'em players don't only try to figure out the most likely team to win every game. In addition to seeking out accurate win odds for every team, they put research and effort into trying to predict how their opponents are going to make their picks. Then, they use all the intelligence they gather on their opponents to adjust their own picks accordingly, in order to maximize their expected profits. Let's drill down into a simplified example to show you how it's done. Introducing the Four Stooges pool. It's NFL Week 1, 2017, and 4 buddies, Larry, Moe, Curly, and Shemp, have decided to compete in a pick'em pool. Each player gets 1 entry. Buy-in is $100. The winner takes home the entire $400 prize pot, and if multiple players are tied with the most points at the end, they draw straws as a tiebreaker to determine the winner. The rules are simply to pick game winners, with 1 point awarded per correct game. The pool only lasts 1 week, though, and only includes the following 3 games: Chiefs at Patriots, Falcons at Bears, and Saints at Vikings. Game win odds. The Stooges all have their own opinions on these 3 games, not even realizing that there are some great sources out there for objective NFL Week 1 predictions. They still haven't discovered the internet. Unbeknownst to them, the win probabilities for those 3 games looked roughly like this as of Tuesday: 829 game favorite win odds, underdog win odds 1, Patriots 80%, Chiefs 20%, 2 Falcons 70%, Bears 30%, 3 Vikings 60%, Saints 40%. The Stooges picks. When the Thursday morning pick deadline arrived, here's what the Stooges picks looked like, with each pick's odds to win in parentheses: game, Larry, Moe, Curly, Shemp 1, Patriots 80%, Patriots 80%, Patriots 80%, Chiefs 20%, 2 Falcons 70%, Falcons 70%, Bears 30%, Bears 30%, 3 Vikings 60%, Saints 40%, Vikings 60%, Saints 40%. Larry's the conservative one, picking all the favorites. Moe and Curly each threw in 1 upset pick, although neither one had the cojones to pick against the Pats. Shemp, who had been drinking heavily after his girlfriend twisted his earlobe with a pair of pliers, lost his mind and picked all 3 underdogs. Sir, who made the best picks? The expected pool winner is to the math, and you confirm the answer that you probably had guessed. In retrospect, Larry made the best picks. By playing it safe in such a tiny pool, he let his opponents shoot themselves in the foot by picking too aggressively, giving himself a 42% chance to win in the process compared to baseline win odds of 1-4, or 25%. As a result, his expected payout is $168, the $400 pot times a 42% chance to win, for an expected return on investment (GWR) of 68% in a week. Warren Buffett would be jealous. Mo has a 28% chance to come in first place, Curly 19%, and Paul Shemp only 10%. At those odds, Mo still has an expected WAR of 13%, but Curly and Shemp are expected to lose money. However, one thing is important to note in the example above. Larry's in the driver's seat, but a big reason why is because he was the only player in this tiny four-person pool to pick all the favorites. What if Mo hadn't picked the Saints upset and had exactly duplicated Larry's all-favorites picks? One effect of that change would be additional scenarios where Larry and Mo split pots that Larry previously would have won by himself. In that scenario, Larry and Mo would both have a 32% chance to win the pool and an expected WAR of 28% each. Curly and Shemp would both be slightly better off, but still expected to lose money. In the end, Larry's position would clearly be weakened if one other player had duplicated his picks, but playing it safe still gives him the best chance to win. The Four Stooges 396 friends pool. Something fascinating and fun happens when you keep charging down this path, though. Let's now imagine a pool not with 4 entries but with 400 entries, the Four Stooges and 396 of their closest friends. Winner take all, same games to pick. In pools that big, unexpected pick distribution that looks something like the following might be expected: 200 players pick like Larry, all 3 favorites; 100 players pick like Mo, 2 favorites; 1 minor upset; 90 players pick like Curly, 2 favorites; 1 moderate upset; 10 players pick like Shemp, all 3 underdogs who made the best picks. Now the highest expected profit goes to the Shemps, by a significant margin. In big pools, public bias toward favorites often presents great opportunities to increase your expected profits by aggressively picking unpopular and typically risky teams. You just need to have the guts to trust the numbers, and ignore the inevitable ridicule of your dumber opponents when they mock your picks. By taking such a contrarian stance with their picks, the Shemps still only have a 10% chance to win the 400-person pool, but when they do win it, they are only splitting the pot 10 ways. Add in all the other scenarios and each Shemp has about a 50% expected WAR on his pool entry fee. That's a much better outcome than winning the pool much more often, like the Larrys do, but then having to split the pot 200 ways when they win. In this pool, the Larrys and the Curlys are expected to lose money, while the Mos have about a 30% expected WAR. The takeaways: this Stooges case study illustrates the general strategy of applying game theory principles to NFL pick-'em pools. Sharp pick-and-pool players not only understand each team's odds to win, but they also project how their opponents will pick, and balance the risk-reward profile of their picks according to the size of their pool. When it comes to maximizing their odds to win a pool, the pros know when picking like Larry is a better strategy than picking like Shemp, and vice versa. The same pro might submit completely opposite picks for 2 different pools they're in. As we said at the beginning, though, the Stooges case study is a simplified example. Typical season-long NFL pools have many more dynamics to account for: 17 weeks of picks, up to 16 games to pick each week, more variation in opponent picks. In a 17-week pick'em contest, for instance, it makes a lot less sense to pick like Shemp in the early going, even in bigger pools. Those dynamics drastically increase the complexity of figuring out the optimal picks for your specific pool, week in and week out. It's pretty much impossible to do all the math, and do it precisely, by hand or with Excel. There's a web app for that. That's why we built a product for football pool picks. It's the only system that algorithmically optimizes your weekly pick and pool picks based on all of the key strategy dynamics. It factors in your pool size, expected opponent picking projections, and your pool scoring system. If you learned something from this article, we encourage you to check it out and enter your NFL pick-'em pool this season with a bazooka in your back pocket. All articles in this series: Part 1, How to Get an Edge in NFL Pick'ems and Survivors; Part 2, How the Pros Dominate Football Pick'em Contests. Team Rankings has provided data-driven picks, tools, and analysis for football pools and NCAA bracket pools since 2000. You can check out their products for NFL Office Pool Picks and NFL Survivor Pool Picks.